Hi guys, get yourself comfy, grab yourself a cup of tea and a snack, because I wanted to do kind of a more chatty video with you guys today. I feel like I need to address my anxiety, and I thought that I would explain to you guys, because obviously sometimes it can affect what I upload, when I upload, how often I upload, blah de blah de blah, and so I feel like I should explain to you guys how I'm feeling on those days where I should be uploading but I don't. So grab yourself a drink, I have water, and yeah, let's go. So my anxiety started when I worked at my last workplace, and it was basically caused by stress. I don't by any means think that I have it bad, and definitely not the worst out of people that I've heard from, stories that I hear. I definitely don't think I have it half as bad as some people. But when it first flared up, I definitely think that was I know that's the worst that it's been. And to be honest, I think everyone has a tiny bit of anxiety in them somewhere. Everyone feels anxious about some things, whether it's that you don't like confined spaces, or you don't like meeting new people, or whatever. Everyone feels anxious about some things. There's always something that makes you feel nervous, and I think people need to kind of establish the difference between feeling nervous and feeling anxious. When you feel nervous about something, it's kind of a one-time thing. You feel nervous because you've got an audition, you feel nervous because you're going for a job interview, you feel nervous because it's the first time you're uploading a video. But I think anxiety is kind of nerves, but times 10, or 100 for some people. And when my anxiety was first triggered, I didn't want to see anyone. I didn't want to go shopping because I was petrified of the thought of being around that many people, all at once. And in my head I was thinking, but I can't get out. I can't just run away from that. I can't. It was kind of the fear of being around people that scared me most. I was off work for over a week because I didn't want to leave my house. I didn't even want to risk walking out of the front door and seeing someone. I didn't want to go with people. I didn't want to go on my own. It was easier for me to go with someone than it was on my own, but it was still hard. It was by no means easy to leave the house. But I went back to work after a week, and I do think that helped. As stupid as it sounds, because I was so petrified of going back, I think facing that almost fear was what I needed to just in my head go, do you know what, this really isn't that bad. You see these people every day, you've worked with them for nearly 2 years, they know you, they know what you're going through, they know, how you're feeling, and I knew that there was people there that I could talk to. There were some people at my old job that I would consider friends and not colleagues, but then there were other people that I would just kind of say were colleagues, and I wouldn't necessarily see them out of work. But I also had amazing friends and amazing family outside of work that really helped me to conquer that anxiety as such. I think you need someone to push you, and for someone to say to you, look, I hate it when people say, oh, just don't think about it, it'll be fine, it really isn't that simple with anxiety. And I think for someone who hasn't got anxiety or hasn't been through, you know, anything like that, I think it's so difficult to understand how someone is feeling. And you know, I found ways to deal with it, and I was so relieved when I could quite happily walk out of my front door. I wasn't worrying about work. I mean, my job was stressful, to say the least, anyway. But it was such a relief to kind of step back and say, right, I'm ditching that stress right now. I am focusing on myself. I'm not worrying about work. I am just going to deal with it. And you kind of have to face up to it to deal with it. You kind of have to, in a way, tell it where to go, and kind of tell yourself that you're not going to let it beat you. And that is what kind of got me through. I am nowhere near as bad now. Obviously I have bad days, I have good days. I have days where I think they're going to be a bad day, and 9 times out of 10 they are. But that 1 time out of 10 that I do have a good day, I kind of think to myself, okay, so I thought it was going to be a bad day, turns out it hasn't. Why can't all the other days where I think today's going to be a bad day, why can't they be good days too? I can make them into good days. I need to distract myself from the anxiety, and I just need to get on with my life. I can't let my anxiety control me. And I mean, I've heard of so many people that have suffered with it for years and years and years. I mean, it's probably the most obvious person to say, but I know full well how bad Zoella has anxiety, and Velvet Ghost, or Gabriella Lindley, and also Hannah from Fabulous Hannah. And I do think YouTube is a way of dealing with it. It's a way of escaping what you're feeling. And it sounds stupid, but talking to a camera is so much easier than talking to maybe a person about it. And I think if that's the way you have to do it to get it out of your system, then do it. Sit in your bedroom, just talk to yourself, write it down, keep a diary of how you're feeling, when you're feeling, what you think's caused it. You might be able to find a trigger. I mean, I know Zoella finds, or did find, train journeys quite difficult because of the people and feeling claustrophobic. And I think you need to listen to what other people say to you as well. It's so difficult to bring yourself out of kind of a panic attack or an anxiety patch, if you like, if you're not listening to the people who love you most. And you know, when I was having a panic attack, it was, you can't even explain panic attacks, and all I ever tell myself is, which my nanny actually told me, was that no one has ever died through a panic attack, but it is the scariest thing I've ever experienced, because you literally feel like you can't breathe, and you imagine someone holding their hand over your mouth. It is literally like suffocating, but over nothing. And it is so hard to explain. Unless you've had a panic attack, I don't think you'll ever understand it. But people who have will know where I'm coming from and will know how difficult it is to explain. And also, if you're having a day where you're feeling really anxious, you might not necessarily know what about, but it happens, and you kind of just feel negative about everything because you feel negative about the day. You then look at everything negatively, and you look at it on an extreme level, and you kind of start thinking things that aren't true, and it's almost like hallucinating but with thoughts instead of like hallucinating and seeing things, you're hallucinating and thinking things. But it's definitely something that I think people need to be more aware of. I mean, I obviously work with children, I work in a nursery, and I think it's so difficult for me to even explain how I feel when I feel anxious. And for all we know, there could be a child with anxiety and you wouldn't necessarily know, because you don't expect them to have anxiety, you don't expect them to feel like that, you don't expect them to worry about stuff on that level. But what's to say they're not? And you know, I worked at my old job for 2 years and I was fine the whole 2 years. Yeah, I felt stressed out, but I got over it, and I kept telling myself it's just a job, you don't need to worry, it is just a job. And it got to a point where it wasn't just my job anymore, it was literally becoming my whole life. I was going to work, I was coming home and thinking about work, I was, you know, getting up in the mornings and worrying about work, I was worrying about work at night, I was, you know, I didn't really have a social life because I was constantly worrying about work, and it just all got on top of me. And it's scary to think that it's something you have no control over. Like, it literally just happens. And I think that's what scares me most about it. I can wake up in the morning and just have a bad day because my body or my brain feels like giving me a bad day. And I mean, if you guys watch my channel quite frequently, you will know that my video, my summer makeup tutorial, was supposed to go up on the Sunday, and I had a really busy weekend, so I was going to upload it on the Monday, which was a bank holiday, and then I just couldn't bring myself to film. I was literally in bed pretty much all day. I think I got out of bed for probably 3 hours of the day, 4 hours of the day. The rest of the day I was in bed, and it's scary to think that my brain can make me do that. My brain can make me feel like I just want to stay in my room and not speak to anyone, not see anyone, just sit in my own company and stew on what I'm worrying about or what I'm feeling anxious about. And of course there are different ways to deal with anxiety. People deal with it, everyone deals with it differently, and everyone's anxiety is so different, and I couldn't even begin to explain to you how I deal with it, because I don't necessarily deal with it in a way that I probably should. Depends how anxious I'm feeling. I mean, sometimes my anxiety will flare up and I will literally just feel negative about absolutely everything in my life, and I think that everything is going downhill, and I will believe I'm a failure. But then there are days where I just feel a bit on edge, and on those days where I feel a bit on edge, I want to do something. I will film, I will talk to someone, I will try and get it out of my system so that I can stop feeling like that. Other people find it easier to go to a counsellor, some people find it easier to write down, some people find it easier to talk to a family member, some people find it easier to just distract themselves. And some people do prefer to just kind of wallow in it. It is such a hard thing to explain, and I definitely think more people need to be aware of anxiety, because, like I say, unless you've been through it, I don't think you understand it, and it's a difficult thing. When it flares up, it's so difficult. I'm lucky enough, I mean, like I said previously, my family and friends are so supportive of me, and I literally feel like the luckiest person in the world to have those people around me and to have that much love surrounding me. And I'm also lucky in a weird kind of way, that Liam has actually struggled with anxiety before, so he understands how I'm feeling and he kind of knows how to deal with it. And I don't know, I don't mean I'm lucky to that he's got anxiety, because I would not wish anxiety on anybody, but some people suffer with it and have no one that understands it, and I can't even imagine having that and having to go through that, but yeah, I think it's definitely something that people need to be more aware of. If you do have anxiety and you're watching this video, I just want to say I am always here if you want to chat. I know that, like I said, it's not always the way people want to deal with it, but if you feel like you need someone to talk to, even if you don't really know me, I think that talking to someone is probably the most important thing to do, because it gets it off your chest and somebody else knows exactly what you're thinking. Don't be afraid to tell someone what you are thinking, because if you keep it to yourself, it's just gonna get, it's like a flame, and it's just gonna get bigger and bigger and bigger, and I know how that feels. So if anyone is feeling that way, and feels like they need someone to talk to that doesn't necessarily know them or does know them, then please feel free to talk to me. I won't tell anyone if you don't want me to tell anyone. I just think it's a good thing to tell someone, and if you don't feel like you want to tell me, write it down, or if you don't want to tell anyone, not just me, but if you don't want to talk about it, write it down. Get a diary or just a notebook and write it down. You know, I just can't get it across enough how important it is to talk about it and get it off your chest. So I do hope this video has helped a couple of you. If you feel like it is something that you are struggling with, or you feel like it's something that might appear in the future for you, if you're feeling really stressed, if you're feeling like you don't want to leave your house, if you're feeling like the tiniest thing scares you, then yeah, I hope this helps. Anxiety is always a touchy subject, but it's important to talk about it, and it's important to make people aware, I think. So yeah, that's my anxiety, which still haunts me, but I know how to deal with it now, and that's what's important. And I got a new job, so my job can no longer cause my anxiety or stress or anything else. So yeah, I hope this has helped a few of you. Be sure to share it with your friends if you feel like any of your friends will benefit from this video, even if it's just to know that other people are going through it and other people do understand you. I'm sure there are forums and stuff online that you can join as well, of people who have anxiety, and you can talk about it with people that you have no idea who they are, and you can kind of get tips off of the others of how they deal with it, and you can try it. But yeah, feel free to share it, click the big thumbs up button if it helped you, and make sure you subscribe. I want my next video to be a bit more upbeat, maybe another tutorial, maybe not another tutorial, maybe something completely different. I'm not 100% yet, but let's have a good day now. So if today isn't a good day, tomorrow is a new day, so don't dwell on it. until next time, bye.